We said we'd never leave. Then life got busy. This world, it waited for us. Now it's time to give it the finale it deserves. After 4 months, it feels good to be back at the Kingdom of Lassa, and surprisingly, nothing seems to be awry here, and it's a good feeling seeing the sign of our starter house, along with the satisfying sound of the redstone clicker that goes off for our light in our mailbox. And my oh my, have we made a beautiful world here on the Lotus SMP over the last 9 months. We do have to get around and make a home for these 3 llamas that we have over by the well, which will definitely be a highlight for the episode. But part of the reason for my absence on Lotus is that I've already completely finished the world that we have here. And so at the end of the episode, we'll go through a full world tour of everything that I've built here. But that doesn't mean that we're done building elsewhere. The spawn area on Lotus is pretty much untouched, meaning that it's the perfect place for us to build, and I've already collected a whole ton of materials. I did also want to point out that Cobb has finished his area on Lotus as well, and his terrain area in particular looks so cool, along with he's built this beautiful white build, and I'm very inspired by it. It's always a nostalgic feeling flying back into the shopping district, where we have a brand new renovation of the execution zone. All of the chairs and the signs along with the platform have stayed the same, but the wall with these banners is brand new, and I love the lotus flower design. And standing back here, it really is beautiful, and it's a great reminder of all the good times that we've had here. To me, it's crazy that Jam was here back in January. It really doesn't feel like it's been that long. The build that we're going to be making is going to involve a whole ton of lecterns, so we had to make a pit stop here, and I really hope that we have enough paper to make the build, but we can head inside, where we've actually gotten a decent amount of sales over the last couple of months, so I can collect these bad boys up and make our way over to the second shop that I ended up using, which is the shulker shop, which was made by Rad, with really good prices as well, with 3 shulkers for 2 diamonds. We got a couple of shulkers from here before making our way over to the brand new wood shop, where it may be kind of dark, but as you can see, we can buy ourselves some wood here. Our next location that we stopped by to get more materials was Rad Sty Depot. This build by far is one of my favorites that we have in the whole server, where it's so colorful and so satisfying with the terracotta on the walls. And so we grabbed some green dye, some green wool, which alongside the materials that I have make us pretty good to go for building. However, as you can clearly see, there's been some massive building happening in the shopping district as well. We have a really cool armor stand statue with a miniature pink sheep, and then a Sir Sniffington as well, who, as you can tell, is a sniffer. The attention to detail and the use of all of the white blocks is really inspiring, and I like the torch flowers and pitcher pods that they have in the windows too, along with the pale oak hanging signs for barricades on the sidelines as well. But if we open the door, the real beauty is to be had inside. As you can see, the sunlight perfectly goes through the circular windows, and we have all of this coral lining the floor as well. This is absolutely astounding, and I think that I came at the perfect time of day for it as well. But we had a mayoral election in here a little while ago, where it seems like Sir Sniffington has definitely won the election, but I guess that I'll have to catch up with everybody and get a full scoop of the story. As for now, we're gonna put our rockets into our hands and head to our build area. which happens to be the mostly untouched spawn area on the Lotus SMP, except for a lone nether portal. And then, as you can see right here, Muffert has just come by and dropped off some dirt for terraforming, which actually happens to be the perfect thing. As I was flying over here, I was thinking that I was going to need some, but as you can see with our materials over here, I've been going back and forth collecting to get ready for today's episode. So genuinely, I really appreciate that, my man, and definitely take a look at his channel. But it's definitely clear that this place needs a ton of terraforming work. Now, the entire forest has been cleared out and flattened out as well with the help of Muffert, but better yet, as you can see with the dirt blocks behind me, he has designated himself a building spot as well, as Muffert has decided that here he's gonna build the lava chicken shop from the Minecraft movie, which I'm totally here for and I can't wait to see what it turns out to look like. But a big shout out to Muffert for all of the help, and having this entire area cleared out means that it's time to get around to building. As you can see, we still don't have a build behind us. You can see that we have a couple of rows of running water, but this area won't be here forever. It's just that I'm not gonna have enough paper in order to make enough lecterns that we need for the build. And then, as you've seen in the replay mod cinematics, I also got around to making a path. The actual pug came around with some rooted and some coarse dirt, which helped out with the pathway design. And we have stone and stone bricks and tough bricks as well. Well, I am definitely happy that we ended up making that sugarcane farm, as it was dearly necessary in order for us to be able to make all of the lecterns that we needed for the build. But before we get to doing anything, we have a brand new pop-up shop here on the server. This build was made by Muffert and is inspired by a Minecraft movie, but as you can see, we've gotten around to completing the exterior of our build. We'll of course get into more detail about the build when we're finished with the interior, along with we have to extend the path along this area. And although Chespy reached out and he said to leave most of the spawn area complete for other guest builds in the future, I'm gonna use this area here. I'm definitely gonna take down the sugarcane field and we'll put some torch flowers in this area here in a sort of garden. And then I have a feeling that we'll take some stone brick walls and outline the entire area, along with I definitely want to do a bit more to the area. I really want to get creative for the last build of the season. So I say, let's get around around to doing that, and if you're still here, consider leaving a like on the video. We've done a whole ton of beautiful things over the last 9 months in this world, and I'm very excited to show you everything that we've done in a world tour after this beautiful cinematic. Well, I do think that we've made quite a good addition to the spawn area, for as you can see, we have a very green, luscious build in the valley, where on the side I ended up using pitcher pods in a diagonal fashion, and if you've been here on the channel for a while, you'll know that I love doing it in that fashion. As the sun begins to set, you can see that on the left we have a garden area with tons of torch flowers. It's my first time ever using either of these flowers in the game, which is funny because they've actually been in Minecraft for a while now. And I must say that although I do really like them both, at the same time I do think that they have much more of like a mystical sort of vibe. It definitely is not medieval, and so although I wanted to use this in many other kingdoms, I think that I'll have to be a little bit more nitpicky with how I use these flowers. But regardless, I do think that they fit well into the area of the build that we have here, as everything that I've made here on Lotus has definitely not been a conventional building style. And to be honest, I really never know how it's going to turn out until I'm finished. I really am very happy with this build, and I really like the item frames that we have here with the green dye in them. And then, of course, we went with even more green accent with tons of banners. And then the perfect addition to this build is even more copper trapdoors, which are slowly oxidizing. And the best thing about building in this particular color style is that regardless of the oxidation color of the doors, they're still going to look good. But as you can see, for our path, we have some tough and some stone bricks, and then some stone and then some tough bricks as well, which makes its way along the corner here where we have some barrels and leads us over to the back side of the build, which is pretty much the same as the front, but I really do like the garden of pitcher pods that we have here. And then if we make a full circle around the build, we have kind of an awning overlook area with a little bit of extra storage, and this might be my favorite part of about the build, and as you can see, it gives the perfect amount of sunlight coming in through the trapdoors and the leaves in the afternoon. And as you can see, there is still plenty of room for the other members of the server to build in, which I'm definitely excited to see what everyone else ends up coming up with over time. However, this is going to be my last build on Lotus, which we'll talk about in a little bit. For now, I want to head inside to our interior, and I really do enjoy this design. We've kind of split up the room in two ways, with some barrels going into some spruce logs, and then we also have some item frames with some flowers in them. We interestingly went with a couple of chains right here too, and one up top, and I like how it kind of breaks up the area too. On the right side, we ended up making a table with a crafting table in the middle right here, and then I got to use some pale oak trapdoors for the first time, and then we have a lantern and an item frame right here. And then interestingly, for the ceiling right here, I went even more all out, where we have some oak trapdoors and then some pale oak trapdoors, and then we have some jungle, which actually leads into some bamboo trapdoors as well. This being my last build on Lotus, I have plenty of materials to get rid of. And then as the sun beautifully shines its rays through our stone stairs right here, you'll notice that we also have a couple of paintings in the area. And then if we head along to the other side, you'll notice that we pretty much have the same thing here, with even more item frames and banners and posters Lotus right here, and we also have a rocket frame. It's definitely funky, and it's definitely a slip build, and it also definitely needs a name, so please do consider leaving one in the comments below. But with the last area complete in our Lotus world, I can say that it's just about time for a world tour. We've spent over 300 hours building in this beautiful Minecraft world, and I'll start us from the very beginning right after today's video sponsor. If you're tired of wasting time editing out silences and bad takes in your videos, let me introduce you to Gling. This AI-powered software automatically cuts out all of those awkward pauses, then exports everything directly to your favorite editing software. It's totally changed the way I make videos, letting me focus on what really matters, building and creating. Want to save 10%? Just grab my link in the description to grab Gling and level up your video editing today. A massive thank you to Gling AI for being today's video sponsor. And if you've ever wanted to get better or more efficient at making Minecraft videos, my link will get you an extra discount. But there's no better way to start off our world tour than at our building location at the Happy Campers. Now, there's a whole lot going on in the entire Lotus world, as you can see behind me. And everything that you can see right here is really only from the first couple of weeks that we all spent together. So given that fact and everything that I've even built in this world, we'll just keep the tour to everything that I happen to have made. And if you'd ever like to see any of the other perspectives, I highly recommend you checking out any of the channels linked in the description below. Now, the original idea behind this island is that everyone was to make a camping tent or a camper van. And as you can see, instead of going with a red bed, I ended up going with a red tent. Although if we head inside, interestingly, you'll notice that there's actually no place for us to sleep, meaning that this build is completely an aesthetic build, but I love how it came out, and I really love how much mangrove wood we were able to spruce up the area with. At this point in time, I was on a mangrove kick, and it's really cool that we have this Japanese looking dock down here, as well as I got around to making a boat in this direction, which is a custom design, and I'm okay with how it came out, but I'm very happy that we ended up having some boat life on the server. But it also made me happy that during our time together, especially at the beginning, this dock was definitely a go-to point for a lot of players to go and exit the island. And then, of course, I tried to make it look aesthetic as possible with a custom pond here, where I really went all out with tons of lily pads and a bunch of flowers, and we actually have some mud in here too. And then down below at the bottom of the lake, you'll also see that we have some clumps of leaves, and I really just think that it brings it all together. We also have a custom hay bale right here, and we used to have our first pet named Stella, a little bunny rabbit right here, but it seems like she must have gotten loose. Or just kidding, we found her, and I feel bad we haven't done anything with her our entire time here. So I say, you know what, scratch that. I say, why don't we take her back over to the world? Although she's flying away, I forgot that I needed a leaf. And just like that, we've got her again, where we can now lead her on through to the nether portal. But as you can see, the members of the Lotus SMP have spared no effort when it comes to the nether hub area. And I want to be frank, I have almost nothing to do with this build. It's actually very difficult to capture on replay mod, but we have a giant lotus leaf right up here. And then you'll notice that we have tons and tons of azalea flowers that are putting spore blossoms into the environment. It actually can be a little bit difficult to tell, but we have green candles on top of all of them. And then these wonderful spiral columns with tons of frog lights. And I really love the floor design as well. I don't even know how to describe all of the blocks that they have here, but it's so cool, and the gradients with the glass on top, just it's really, really awesome in game. This really is a Minecraft majesty that you can only get the real feeling of when playing in game. But we'll head on off to the west because that is where the kingdom of Lassa is located. Oh, no! My gosh. We literally made it to the kingdom. Come on. Please put an RIP Stella in the comments for us. That actually breaks my heart more than I would like to admit. I'm gonna take a quick break. Stella, you will always be remembered. I had always wanted to bring Stella to the kingdom of Lassa, and that seemed like the perfect time to do it. But even if she can't reside here in life forever, she'll reside here in death. And I do think that it's important that we add her to the sanctuary graveyard, and so we'll put your name here. Which of course brings us to our first location of this beautiful kingdom. We have the Sanctuary Graveyard, where a bunch of our subscribers and OG fans reside now, along with Stella, where we have Golden Recluse, Etat, Break the Net, Inca Raids, who also happens to be a member of the Lotus SMP now, and Indiana Animates. And as you can see, usually it's accessible by boat, but we only have wings right now. So I'll quickly jet on over to the main side of the kingdom, where we actually happen to have a jump pad right here where Cobb made it, and we can just stand in the middle and hop up and down. And then a very notable thing about the builds that we've made in the Kingdom of Lassa is that this is my own custom lamp design with copper trapdoors and then some stone bricks and some stone brick walls, along with some iron and some lightning rods. And I think that the design is so cool, and I highly recommend you take a look at it too. But as we head on up to the main kingdom, we have our main starter base, where as you can see, we have a sign that says slips. And then this pair of diamond boots is my very first pair. You'll see that all of the builds in the Kingdom of Lassa undergo the same build design. In terms of blocks, we have white blocks that lead up to some brown and then some red at the top. And on the first floor, as you can see, we have smooth quartz and then some diorite along with some iron blocks, along with copper trapdoors and lightning rods for accent pieces, and then some pots with plants all around and some stone brick walls along with some iron bars, meaning that yes, all of these builds were incredibly expensive to make. Over right here in this area, we have a custom pond that I made, and my armor stand mod is kind of messed up right now, but this is supposed to be me and Cobb just lounging on the pond area. I'm not going to be going into all of the interiors for the sake of time, but I do want you to know that they all have interiors, and that this item right here is one of my favorites in the game. But then in this chest right here, we have all of our important items, with many of which that I never ended up using that were graciously gifted to me from the actual Pug. I'm sorry, Pug, I've definitely let you down with not having used them, and I promise you that I will up my game in the future. But all over our interiors as well, I ended up taking all of our diamond tools and I hung them up to kind of show the testament of time. Along with, it's worth mentioning that you'll notice that all over my builds, we have this poster of Margaret the Pink Sheep, where as you can see, we had an election on the server where this was some propaganda to vote for Margaret. Although I happened to have missed the election, I wasn't the greatest voter. And then up here on the second floor, we can continue on up to even more interiors. But if you'd ever like to take a look at all of the interiors that I've ever made, you're more than welcome to take a look at the World Tour when the season ends in about a month or so, because one thing that is definitely for sure about this kingdom is the attention to detail. Literally every single block that I've put here is intentional, which includes the stone brick pressure plates that you'll see right here, where if I press on them, they'll actually light up a lamp right here, which is my mailbox. And then we can head up the pathway right here to our storage area, where I really like the design, and it's very industrial, and I got around to using those custom decorated pots, and I absolutely love it. Where if we head inside, we have 3 levels of storage area stuff, which is for the most part pretty organized. However, Cobb warns me very early on that this storage system would not be efficient, and I think that it's a main reason that I got a little bit burnt out with Lotus a couple months ago. It was taking me so long to go up and down to try to figure out my storage that it really just got overwhelming, and it's definitely one of my main priorities that I had when starting my Forever World, to figure out how to play the game more efficiently. But you'll notice here that I have 3 llamas that were gifted to me from Draconis, Maddie, and Pug, which go by the names of Lorenzo, Slippy named after myself, and then Shifty over here. And I know I said at the beginning of the episode that I was gonna give these guys a home, but I've realized after the passing of Stella that I think the perfect way to set these guys free is to actually set these guys free in my kingdom. And so I really do hope that they enjoy their stay here, and I actually really like having them around too. But we can head down here where we have a custom well design, and we have a miniature Draconis that's going up to the only goat horn that I've ever received in the game. As we head along the path to the left, we have another custom pond in this area here. And then this massive birch tree that we have right here is actually a custom design with some diorite walls that we have down below, which, being honest, I'm actually really happy with the build. I must say that the more that I had this tree in the world, the more that it grew on me, and I wish that I made more throughout the kingdom. But down over here in this area, we have our challenge tower, which is an idea that I ended up getting from Inca Raids, and the idea was that every episode we had another side quest, a little challenge that we had to do in the world, which was chosen for me on a list randomizer, and so I really had no say on what I was going to be building for the episode, which is actually something that's really fun to do, especially if you're kind of getting tired of the ideas that you're making in your world. Along with, for me personally, it definitely made me a better builder, and we wouldn't have anything like the Sanctuary Graveyard if it hadn't been for something like this challenge tower too. But if we head up to the stairs to the top here, you'll see that we have one of my favorite looks at the kingdom. Although this is where the kingdom happens to end, you can see that our paths and our flowers kind of run out here, and then we have our tree felling area over in this direction. When I make my Minecraft builds, I always try to kind of do game design and have your environment fit into the world, and so there's kind of a clear in area, as you can tell, and a clear out area as well. However, we can head down here towards maybe one of my favorite builds that I've ever made. This area happens to be the Jeffrey's Tavern, where we started to use lightning rods as a decoration piece, and of course it's very expensive, but we have a little carrot field that kind of draws in the area, and of course the same block palette that we use through the rest of the kingdom, with a beautiful entrance. And this is where I started using quartz and item frames as kind of a logo piece around the builds in the kingdom, but you can see that we'll head inside to a beautiful looking tavern interior, where on this floor we have the normal bar, and there's so much to talk about when it comes to this build, but again, it's better to see it in person for the world tour. And then on the second floor right here, we have a custom family kind of dining area, and we even have a miniature cob that's a workman for the Jeffreys. And then if we head up to the third floor, you'll see that we have a storage area for the Jeffreys to hold all of their stock and inventory. I love this build, I really do, and I could spend so much time talking about it, but there's almost too much to say. I really do hope that eventually I'll be able to get this good at doing interiors always. But we can head on up to the center of the kingdom once again, where we can make our way down to the first ever custom tree that I've ever made, which honestly, in my personal opinion, turned out pretty okay. And then if we head along to the right, this is actually where we can get to our nether portal entrance. But we can head through beautiful pathways in this world with just so much decoration and design all over, and take a left over to the Jeffrey's house by itself. This is when I started using lecterns all over the place, and I love the cherry saplings that we have in the pot's outer lining everything. And of course, we can sneak a peek into the window to see the interior. We have so much that we've done in this world. We can continue along the path this way, where we'll come across Shohei's Sweet Treats. Many of these builds and the lore behind them are named after and kind of in dedication to many of my Minecraft buddies here, and it's one of my favorite ways to bring the world to life. You can see that this is one of the largest builds that we have, and a really cool design all over as well. And then we can sneak a peek inside, and we have multiple floors over here, along with actually, if we drop down here, we have another whole storage room down here that I never used, because as we've discussed, inventory management was definitely something new for me in this world, as I had never played at so quick of a pace, and I had never played with so many different players, especially ones who would be so generous. And so man, did my inventory and my storage get blown out of proportion really quick. But right here we have Luma's base, who is another Lotus SMP member. Their theme for the season was to make the same sort of design of house, but then to incorporate everyone's own designs and block palettes into their base. And so her base resides just like this, but kind of in different designs all around the server. And I may be partial to this sort of block design, but I really do love the way that it just fits into the kingdom perfectly. Although it is worth mentioning that Luma also did complain about how expensive these builds are. But before we continue to the right, we'll actually be able to continue down the left down a really cool stone path, which will lead us on up to Flam's Villa, which is one of the most recent builds that we ended up making here in the Kingdom of Lassa. And you can kind of tell that because outlining the windows actually on the first floor, only on this build, we have pale oak trapdoors, which as you can see is something that I wasn't able to add into the builds earlier, but is a perfect accent piece for this sort of design. But as we continue on off, we have the same design kind of over here on the right, and it's a beautiful lookout over on the other side of the kingdom. And you can also tell that this is a newer build because not all of the copper trapdoors have fully oxidized. But as always, we have an interior in here as well. And then if we exit Flam's Villa and we head over in this direction, we have a nice little path that will lead on off towards the graveyard. But once again, we'll continue on off towards the eastern side of the world, where we have a very long path that continues off towards Cobb's base. And I love this design. I think that from any viewpoint, flying in, walking, whatever it be, it's so beautiful to come here, which is something that can be said from pretty much every vantage point. And that was something that was very intentional for me when making this kingdom. I really mean it. I put so much time into this world, and it totally is a work of art. It's totally worth checking out. But over right here, you can see that we have a diagonal bridge that leads on off towards a valley of beautiful flowers and leads on off towards a waterfall here too. We can actually drop on down to the island over here and get a better look from this angle, where although I've made a whole ton of builds in creative mode and then put them into the world here, this was actually a free-form design, and I'm very, very proud of how it came out. I had this idea of having a diagonal bridge and a waterfall, and I can't believe that I was able to make it work. However, there actually happens to be a very secret piece of lore that I've been waiting for the final episode to check out with you all, so why don't we head a little bit closer to. You see, one of our former members, Captain Pineapple, ended up leaving me a book here before he left, which, as you can see, we can find right here. And so I say, why don't we read it together? Also, before I'm reading this, it's also starting to get me a little emotional. Slip, you have an amazing talent, and the creations you've made are truly beautiful to see. It's inspiring to see what you make. Although the graveyard of subscribers is suspicious, did you murder them? Your design and skill is impressive and wonderful to see. Pineapple. Well, I must say, that one definitely puts me in my feels. Pineapple is actually one of the main reasons that I joined Lotus in the first place. Him, along with Yogi Man, just gave off this energy, and I just really loved the way that they built things in the world and created videos along top of that. And so having both of them gone definitely kind of put a damper on the season for me, although I've had such a blast at the same time. I'm really kind of glad that I was able to live on their legacy and be able to put life into the server, even if they couldn't anymore. And truly, Pineapple, if you happen to be watching this, thank you. I'm humbled by you, and I've been inspired by you for a long time. But as you can see right here, we have another makeshift design that we pretty much made on stream. Kind of a really cool bridge design, where it's definitely funky, and it reminds me of Flow State, but it's nostalgic, and I'm happy that I have it here. And it continues on a very, very long way off into the distance here, where, as you can see, I never fully completed the path in terms of connecting it, but we have a really cool path that leads on off towards this direction here. And then you'll also notice that I really never got rid of any of the building materials that I have here, but I won't bore us. This path that we have right here goes on for hundreds and hundreds of blocks. It took me quite a very long time to do it, but I've been kind of a path building maniac here on the server, and we have a variety of different blocks with crafting tables and packed mud and dripstone and all the different things, and then some custom some trees that I ended up getting the idea from Etat in his Joy of Building world, and it kind of winds and twists and turns over to our Halloween district and makes its way over off towards the side of Cobb's base too, as you can kind of faintly make out over in the distance, and actually even better from this viewpoint right here. But eventually the path spills on out towards the Halloween district, and the path kind of tapers out right here, but we have a little parkour sort of course where you can jump over the logs in order to get to my build. Although I'm very bad at parkour, where we have Shram's Tavern, which is made off of a good buddy of mine and another Minecraft YouTuber. And given the fact that it was Halloween, we have tons of sunflowers and then tons of pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns all over the area. And then I was happy to switch up the block palette with some terracotta and then kind of working a little bit more with the bricks and the granite over here. And of course, if we open the door, it'll come as no surprise that we have a custom interior as well. And as you can see, we have plenty of builds over in the Halloween area as well, but this was the only thing that I was able to make here, so we can quickly take to our wings. And then just a short flight away, we can come over to the Lotus Hotel, which is definitely one of my funkiest and favorite builds that I've made here, where we really just went all out with all of the different colors to make this as funky as we can. We have tuff and green glazed terracotta and moss and acacia logs and levers and tough walls and smooth tough bricks and warp trap doors and smooth stone bricks and blue terracotta and all of these crazy different blocks that work together with acacia trapdoors and some really weird fashion and even andesite over here and stone, and so many different block types ended up going into this build. And then also on this side right here, we have four different types of colored flowers that was very expensive to get off of Rad's Dye Shop, but makes this area really come to life. And then if we open to the door to the Lotus Hotel, you can see that we have our bodyguard here, Mafert, and me to welcome everybody in. And I think that I didn't even see this pink sheep here. We have 5 different floors of different rooms with mob figures and all of the different gits and gadgets here. But if we head over towards the backside of the build, we'll eventually stumble across another path that I've started up here, which leads on up towards other places in the world. And as you can see, which leads on up to other places in the world. And as you can see, we've still used tons and tons of flowers all over the place. This is the start of the path that leads on over from my area of the kingdom to the south. And you'll notice that for the most part, I actually paid a lot of attention to detail in making that all of the grass here is only 1 block tall. But if we continue up the path here, we also ended up making a massive bridge at the top, which we can see the entrance of right here. And as I walk across it in this beautiful replay mod cinematic, you can see that there was a lot of attention to detail here, and I'm really happy with the design. It kind of leads on off to a really cool natural indentation of the terrain right here, and then over off to another cliff face, which actually happens to lead on to Inca Raid's place. And you can see that I did not end up finishing the bridge that was going to lead over to his location. Although over here on this side, I actually did end up making a custom river. And so this is kind of where I ran out of kind of effort, I would say, and willpower to continue on with the path building over in this direction. But I do have a feeling that this is only Inca's farm area, although I could be wrong and I could have messed up his whole count. So you have every right to be upset with me, buddy, and I totally understand. But we still happen to have one very special build that I want to show you all. So let's take to our wings and I'll get to showing you it. Oh, we also have our episode 2 build, which is the organization of aesthetic terraforming. I completely forget about this build every single time, but this was for some kind of lore and some server shenanigans at the beginning of the season, and I completely transformed this island. As you can see, we have no block left unturned, and the reason being for that is because a lot of players were kind of just leaving items around the server, and I couldn't deal with it. I like having everything looking nice in my Minecraft world, and so I decided to make an organization dedicated to making sure that everything was looking aesthetic, which we affectionately called the Oat Building. And I must say, we had a whole ton of fun playing with this sort of bit. If you are interested in it, definitely take a look at the first couple of episodes here on Lotus. But over in the shopping district, we'll stumble across Slip's Terracotta, where it's worth mentioning that every single pathway that we have in the shopping district, which actually happened to be a mushroom island, was created by myself. And once again, if you'd like to see the full extent of all of the path building and terraforming that I've done in this world, definitely check out the world tour when it drops. But as you can see, I spared no attention to detail when it comes to Slip's Terracotta shop. We of course have some electoral propaganda right here, but you can see that this is actually one of my first circular designs, and it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but we actually have a quadrant for every single type of crop. This fourth right here has bamboo, and then we have wheat over in this direction here, and then we have some 2 tall flowers over here. And then in the final fourth, as you can kind of tell here, we have even more wheat. As you can see by the cinematic from the front, it's actually a very beautiful windmill. And we can head over to the front side where we have tons of flowers raining down. Not raining down, but it's definitely started raining. Where we have a beautiful entranceway right here. And then if we head inside, you'll see that we have tons and tons of terracotta for sale, along with our price book right here. And then you can see that we also have a miniature Maddie up here on the corner. If we take a step back, you'll notice that it's a very interesting block design with some stone bricks going into some moss, and then we have some packed mud right here, and then bricks and granite, along with copper oxidized trapdoors, and then some spruce fences with some lanterns, and then of course some pots with some cherry saplings. And then on the tippy top here, we have some red banners too. And this build is notable for me in that it's the first time that I ended up using the B-dubs trick where you have scaffolding as the windows. And overall, I'm very happy with this build, and we ended up making some pretty fun terracotta commercials over the course of the series too. However, as briefly mentioned earlier, the series for myself is coming to an end. I have personally had so much fun. I've had such a blast here on Lotus. It's been good times, good builds, and most importantly, good camaraderie and good friendships made over the past 9 months or so. Actually, along with the fact that this is our leather shop, which is another one of my builds. Completely forgot about it, where if we head around here, you can see that we have Slip's leather, and then some fun design pieces with lots of deep slate and some crimson trapdoors as well, and lots of red accent pieces. But when I started this season, I had a feeling that I was going to make 2 movies for Lotus and maybe 14 episodes. And now, here we are on episode 14. And although, in theory, I could have had many more builds in this world, when I initially envisioned the Kingdom of Lassa, I never thought that it was going to be anything different than the viewpoint that we have now. For me personally, the Kingdom of Lassa is everything that I ever wanted, and it's even better than I ever thought it was going to be. And as you can see, with all of these pathway designs and even all of the grass that's been placed on this terraformed island that used to be a mushroom island right here, I've done a whole ton of work on the server. So we took a little bit of a Lotus hiatus and ended up making our forever world, which for my own development as a Minecraft player and content creator was definitely the right thing to do. And although there's a month left in the server, I can't see myself doing any other small builds. I really do enjoy working towards something bigger. And so everything that you can see in the expanses that we've explored today is the extent of what I'll be building here on season 3 of the Lotus SMP. There's so many builds. As you can see, this took me an hour and a half to record, and we've barely even scratched the surface. Because if you'd like to see this world in full detail, definitely join our Discord below, because as we stumble into another custom river that I ended up making, there's just so much to see here. And when the final world tour drops, I'll leave a link in the description below. And now this may be the end of a beautiful Minecraft kingdom, but we have one that's gonna be hopefully even more beautiful on the very near horizon. So if you're new here and you're excited for that, consider subscribing to the channel. But genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to everyone on Lotus. It has been an incredible 9 months here, and who knows what's to come for what the next season holds.